with everything from fasting, calories and cardio being thrown at you. Do you ever wonder what actually works to get results that last? Well, in this video I'm breaking down and I'm ranking the 5 key concepts you need to understand to lose that 20 pounds of fat and actually keep it off, featuring insights from some of YouTube's biggest fitness experts, so you can get lean without the gym bro routine. First up, we've got a bunch of cheaters, but we're ranking today's strategies from right at the bottom, that gym bro noise, to all the way to the top, the undeniable winners. So you know exactly what works and what doesn't. Now let's kick off with a behind the scenes cheater clip, and then Big John Cena with a recommendation I'm sure you're going to love.
Eight patties, 40 slices of bacon. Let's take a bite.
Here's the great thing. 6 days a week, I'm going to ask you to follow these 4 food groups. 1 day a week, well, you can eat and drink whatever you want.
Ah, cheat days. The fitness industry's favourite excuse to binge eat junk food under the disguise of balance. But traditional cheat days, they are not just bad, they are diet disasters. Which brings us to this question. Why do cheat days even exist in the first place? Well, when you deprive yourself of your favourite foods for too long, what happens? You start planning your cheat days better than your work schedule. But here's why that is a terrible idea. You would be shocked at how many calories you can actually inhale in one sitting if the food is processed and calorie dense. Just take Stephanie Buttermore as an example. She made a name for herself on YouTube as that lean girl that could effortlessly smash down 10,000 calories. And well, we all kind of saw where that got her. Now, I know you're not going to eat 10,000 calories like Stephanie, right? But even if you're not on her level, how much damage can you actually do in one cheat day? Well, say you've been grinding all week, maintaining a 500 calorie deficit each day. That adds up to a 3,000 calorie deficit for the week. And then Sunday rolls around and that cheat day hits. Suddenly you're inhaling 3,000 calories in just a few hours and boom, week wasted. But here's the real danger. Cheat days don't just erase a week's progress, they create this cycle. Deprivation leads to obsession, obsession leads to binges, and binges lead to frustration and failure, keeping you stuck. So what's the fix? The smartest cheaters, they don't have blowout cheat days, they cheat smarter. And here's how. 1. Keep recipes on hand that are high protein, low calorie versions of the foods that you love. Do you love fries, chocolate or pizza? Just make guilt-free versions that keep you on track without you feeling deprived. And I've got a bunch of these linked down below for you. Or 2. Implement structured diet breaks. Plan intentional diet breaks where you eat more food for a week straight. These diet breaks reset your physiology and they reset your psychology, preventing those Buttermore 10,000 calorie blowouts. And whether it's figuring out your diet strategy or you feel stuck and frustrated because you're not seeing results, I've got you covered. Just click on the Ask Coach Tim link below so you can message me directly with your biggest fitness questions. I know you could be watching Mr. Beast right now, so I genuinely appreciate you hanging out here. So click the link below and leave me a message and let's make this year the year you finally crush it and hit your dream physique. Cheat days, they'll destroy your progress. But with small cheats every day or structured diet breaks, you can keep enjoying life and stay on track. So where does Big John Cena's advice land? We're putting this squarely in the use with caution tier. Cheating can work, but eat whatever you want once a week in a cheat day, it's not going to get you the results that you want. Now we've got Milo Wolf, and he just dropped some breakthrough research on protein you absolutely need to know.
The fitness industry is missing the mark on protein.
Told you. Are we seriously saying that that golden rule of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight isn't perfect after all? So are we eating too much protein or not enough?
Looking at a total of 72 studies in lifters and 66 studies where participants didn't lift, here's what they found.
When not accounting for weight gain, both lifters and non-lifters saw more muscle growth, all the way to 3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight.
What does that mean in plain English? It means 1.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight for consistent muscle gains. At first, you might think that's not much different than the old 1 gram per pound rule, but here's why it's huge. For years, the gym bro standard of 1 gram per pound was considered overkill.
Where you want to be extra safe, going as high as 1 gram per pound may provide some extra anabolic insurance, but is probably overkill.
Most people said the minimum was closer to 0.72 grams per pound of body weight.
Found that you really only need 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
But this new data, it shows real progress continues up to that 1.36 grams per pound of body weight. So let's put that into perspective. For a 200-pound person, the old advice was a minimum of 144 grams of protein per day. But now, this 200-pound person could eat up to 272 grams of protein per day and still see more and more gains on the way there. That's almost double the protein, and it makes a lot of sense when you look at why protein matters for muscle building and fat loss. Check this out. In one study, participants were put into a 40% calorie deficit. That's an aggressive cut. And then they were split into two groups, the low protein group and the high protein group. And here's what happened. The high protein group, they lost more fat and they built more muscle. Just let me say that again more clearly. Even in a 40% calorie deficit, the high protein group built muscle. So while everybody is out here timing carbohydrates around their workouts and stressing about eating too little fat, the reality is you need to stop thinking about cutting for fat loss and bulking for muscle gain. Instead, think of it as a protein increase phase, because that's what lets you do both at the same time. If you're serious about getting lean, it's time to bump your protein way up. This isn't just another gym bro tip, it's backed by data. And that's why this strategy, it goes straight into the strong contender tier. It just cannot go into the top tier because, let's be real, most people find it tough enough to hit 1 gram per pound of body weight. Most guys, they fall into the skinny fat category. You know that look, not enough muscle, too much fat, and no clear direction. So what do they want? Simple, more muscle, less fat. And what do? They hit Google and type, how do I lose fat and build muscle at the same time? And that's when they come across advice like this from guys like Ryan.
Skinny fat, how do you fix it? So the best way to get rid of this is to actually start putting on more muscle. Everyone thinks that they need to lose body fat when they're skinny fat, when in reality what they're gonna do is they're just gonna get even smaller, and that belly's gonna go down, but everything else is going to get smaller.
This is the classic bulk before you cut mantra that the gym bros love to preach. And honestly, yeah, don't do it. If you're already unhappy with your body fat levels, bulking up to put on muscle is a recipe for staying soft all year round. And here's why. 1, aesthetics. Sure, you'll gain muscle, but you'll also gain a ton of fat. It's not exactly that lean look we're aiming for, right? And 2, insulin sensitivity. The more fat you gain, the less insulin sensitive your muscles become. And poor insulin sensitivity, it makes building muscle harder, not easier. So what sounds like progress is actually setting you up for slower gains in the long run. And this is why even Ryan tries to find a compromise.
So for instance, if you're 16% body fat and you're skinny fat and you start to put on more muscle and you're still 16% body fat, this is gonna blend in with all this other muscle and you're gonna look a lot less skinny fat.
It sounds good on paper, right? But let's break it down. So if for every 1 pound of muscle you gain, you also gain 1 pound of fat. Let's say you're starting at 180 pounds with 16% body fat. Now you bulk up to 190 pounds and you're still 16% body fat. Congratulations, you've gained 5 pounds of muscle, but also 5 pounds of fat, and still unhappy with your physique. So here's the real deal. You only need to compromise on gaining fat along with muscle if 1, you're near your genetic potential for muscle building like Ryan, or 2, you're already at single-digit body fat. And if you're not there yet, you don't have to choose between losing fat and building muscle. You can do both. But if you want to build muscle and lose fat at the same time, there are 3 key areas you need to focus on. 1, the calorie balance to burn fat. Are you finishing each week in a calorie deficit of 3,500 calories or more? Because that's what it takes to see visible changes. 2, the signal to build muscle. Are you training each muscle group twice per week and pushing to muscular failure? 3, the raw material to build muscle. Are you creating an anabolic environment? That means eating enough total protein following Milo's advice. You can build muscle in a deficit. And bulking before cutting, it's wasting months of progress for the illusion of gains. And that's why bulking, it lands firmly in the gym bro noise tier. And if you're new here, my name is Tim. I'm a food scientist and personal trainer, now based in Austin, Texas. I specialize in helping guys hit 10% body fat without letting fitness take over their life. So subscribe for more, or if you're interested in one-to-one coaching from me, go to my website. Now we've got Layne Norton tackling one of the most debated topics in fat loss.
Does intermittent fasting, or they call it time-restricted eating, cause more weight loss when compared with continuous meal feeding when people eat the same amount of calories, same macros, and same micros?
And this is where the fitness world splits into 2 camps. Camp 1, calories in, calories out. If you're in a deficit, you'll lose fat, period. Or Camp 2, fasting. The belief that fasting has a secret edge for fat loss. So Layne, what's the answer?
And what did they find? Well, they found no differences in weight loss.
And you can tell by Layne's face, he loves saying that. But here's the thing, if it's all about calories, why are there thousands of social media posts raving about the results from intermittent fasting? And the millions of people that swear by it to get lean and stay lean? Well, check out this study. They split people into 2 groups. Group 1 followed the classic 16-8 intermittent fasting method, eating only between 12 noon and 8 p.m. No calorie counting and no specific weight loss instructions. And Group 2 tracked calories daily and stuck to 25% calorie deficit. Basically, Layne Norton's dream plan. And the results? The fasting group, they lost an average of 4.6 kilos. And the calorie restriction group lost an average of 5.4 kilos. It sounds like a clear winner for calorie tracking, right? But here's the crazy part. The fasting group wasn't trying to cut calories, but they still ate in a 405 calorie deficit per day. Meanwhile, the calorie restriction group, who were tracking meticulously, stayed in a 425 calorie deficit per day. Nearly identical deficits, with one group counting nearly every bite and the other not even thinking thinking about it. So fasting might not be a metabolic cheat code, and it might not magically burn fat, but what it does do is it solves the biggest challenge that most people face: eating fewer calories without obsessing over food all day. And from coaching clients, I've seen fasting work best for people who 1. Struggle with portion control, 2. Hate consistently calorie tracking, or 3. Want a simpler way to maintain a calorie deficit. And from coaching clients, these are the top 3 fasting methods I've seen deliver consistent results. 1. 16-8 fasting. The classic approach, eating in an 8-hour window daily. 2. The 5-2 method. Eat normally 5 days per week, and then on 2 non-consecutive days, eat just 500 calories per day. And 3. OMAD, 1 meal per day. One big meal at the end of the day with fluids throughout the day to keep you hydrated. Yes, fat loss ultimately comes down to calories, but how you create the deficit makes all the difference. Fasting simplifies the process for some, but it's not a magic cheat code. And that's why this strategy, it lands firmly in the hit or miss tier. For the right person, it's game changing, but for others, it's not worth the hype. Alright, it's my turn, and I've got a curveball for you this week. If you're over 20% body fat, cardio might not be the fat loss tool that you want it to be. You see, your body has a sneaky way of sabotaging your calorie burn during cardio. It's called energy compensation, and here's how it works. In this study, researchers found that cardio has a 28% energy compensation effect. So if your fitness tracker says you're burning 600 calories during your 1-hour run, you're actually only burning 72% of that. And that's just 432 calories, not 600. But here's where it gets worse. For someone at 20% body fat or higher, the compensation effect is even stronger. Instead of just burning 72% of the calories, you might only be burning 60% of the calories. So that same 10K run, now it's only burning 360 calories, not the 600 that you thought. So what does this mean in the real world? It means stop relying on cardio for fat loss. You're fighting a losing battle against your body's natural compensation mechanisms. It is not about effort, it's about working smarter. So what should you do instead? 1. Use cardio for fitness, not fat loss. Cardio is great for improving your VO2 max and your overall health, so don't skip it. But treat it like a life enhancer, not your main fat loss strategy. 2. Focus on low intensity daily movement. Low intensity activity does not trigger energy compensation, so you burn 100% of the calories you think you're burning. But I get it, squeezing in extra movement when you're stuck at a desk all day is very tough, so here's my number 1 tip. Invest in a standing desk and a flat floor treadmill. Got meetings? Hop on the treadmill and start walking. This simple habit can dramatically increase your daily calorie burn without triggering the energy compensation. Understanding the cardio compensation effect, it saved my clients hours of wasted cardio sessions. And that's exactly why this knowledge, it belongs in the undeniable winner tier. Work smarter, not harder. And for more coaching tips, watch my video here.